Hey Masters, if you know me and you've been listening to my podcast, you know health and nutrition is number one. Check out AdvoCare products. I am a distributor. Go to livelongersmarter.com. We got everything you could imagine for your health and nutrition goals. If you're interested, at the end of the podcast, at the very end, there'll be more information on the products. Also, LandVoice is one of our sponsors. They have amazing services. If you need leads, please check out LandVoice for FSBO, expired, circle prospecting, a dialer, whatever you need. Go to davidihill.com. Affiliates, you can click the LandVoice link and all of the special opportunities will be there.
Get ready for one more sale, inspiring you with ideas through powerful and engaging interviews with top performers of their field. Now, join us as we discuss techniques and strategies of the coolest and most successful people on the planet.
People want to be around other people that are making things happen, and they want to jump on the fast train, right? So, you have to be attractive in a way that you're clear on your mission, you're very clear on your vision, your beliefs are strong, and then other people want to be part of that. Information's power. We've all heard that. Tony Robbins says information is potential power. You only get to use it and have the things if you actually go out and implement them.
Hey Masters, welcome to episode number 51. Real quick, I just want to thank you, first off, for tuning in and listening to the podcast and sharing. Because of you, our downloads, our listeners, every week, every episode, every month is going up exponentially. So thank you. Guys, we have Chris Grant with us this week. Chris is a team leader from West Hartford. This guy's awesome. He's just a really good, genuine dude. You got to get to know him. And listen, he talks to us today about being attractive and putting out positive energy. And when I say being attractive, I don't mean like good looking. Certainly that doesn't hurt, I'm sure. But we're talking about like the energy you put out, or how you carry yourself, or how you walk into a room, or, the questions you ask, the words that come out of your mouth, how you're paying attention to the people you're interacting with. Are you present? And that's what we're talking about with that and putting out that positive energy. So it's a great interview. You're really going to get a lot of nuggets out of this one. And hey, listen, as I ask every week, please share it with someone else. I know you're doing a great job. I just want to remind you of that. And the other thing I would ask, and I don't say this enough, guys, I sell real estate. I have a real estate team in Central Massachusetts. So we'd love to do referrals. I mean, if you know anybody looking to buy, sell in the Central Mass area, check us out. First off, we'll give you 26% referral, and we'll treat your clients like gold. Your clients will have an amazing experience. Okay, so that's the key, my friends. Just want to put that out there for you. Hey, interview's awesome. Enjoy, share, you rock. Hey Masters, it's David Hill here with another episode of Path to Mastery podcast. And as always, I'm bringing you guys special, amazing people, amazing guests, and a good friend of mine now. I've known him for years. I just had recently the opportunity to spend some time with him. Chris Grant, he's out of the West Hartford, not Hartford, the West Hartford, Keller Williams office. Great guy. Hey, what's going on, Chris?
How are you, David? Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you and your guest today. It's a privilege and an honor.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's our honor. And a couple things about you. I know you've got 4 amazing children. You're very much into your church, your ministry. You owned an independent real estate company, one of the top companies in your area, right? You have 27 agents. And then you left all of that, and then you went over and you joined us at Keller Williams. Now you're a team leader, and you just help other agents to achieve their goals and create massive lives. And why don't you fill in the rest of the blanks on that?
It's really humbling because I say that there was 3 great decisions that have shaped my life thus far. And the first one was really, my faith in my Savior. I believe that God in my life and my faith and believing in Jesus and following him as an example of a leader was really the first thing that started to shape my life. And the second most influential event that happened in my life was I got my beautiful wife to somehow marry me. So I know that I at least have some sales skills in my life because I got her to say yes. And so good that I don't want to mess it up, that I said, look, I'm never going to renew my vows because I don't want to give you another opportunity just to say no. All joking aside, but you really want to make sure that you do that with your spouse every day, so there's no reason she wouldn't say no. So there was some change of thought in my mind on that. And the third greatest decision I made, David, honestly, was partnering with Keller Williams. And if you just kind of look at Keller Williams, the main value that they hold is that they believe above all else that in God and family first and then your business. And if you just look at the alignment, that really was about God, family, and then business for me. So it was a complete overlay. That's where I'm at.
Awesome, my friend. I appreciate you sharing that. And, and I like what you said too about, persuasiveness, because I see you as a persuasive person. And that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to get you onto this podcast, just kind of share. I've had the opportunity in the last month or so, almost 2 months now, to do some role play with you and talk to you almost on a weekly basis. And it just seems like you're always sharing. As a matter of fact, this morning you sent me that video with regards to figuring out what our why is, right? And it's just like you're always doing really, really cool things like that. And I just really appreciate that about you. Well, let me ask you this. Why do you do that? Or does that just come natural to you? Or tell us about that.
I really believe that ever since I was a young child. I remember there was this one time that it was just in my heart and my nature. I think it's what our source puts into us long before we're even born. And there's a dream that we all have. Everybody's trying to figure out, what their dream is, or, your dreams were given to you. You just have to become aware of what they are. And I remember this story when I was probably like 6 years old or so. And I was in an apartment complex, and my parents didn't have a lot of money, man. I mean, we were literally broke most days. And so there was this kid that I knew a couple apartments over, and he was sick and he was in bed. And I remember going in and taking money out of my piggy bank and going over and giving it to him because I thought that was going to help him. And then I was taking dollars, I actually saw some money on the counter. I took that and I brought that over to him. And the parent of my friend had figured it out, and he came back and he told my parents, like, look, your kids brought like $40 over here today. And so I think it's always just been in my nature to serve other people and to connect with them and to give more to others than what you could ever want to receive. And I think that there's a blessing in that. I think when we come from contribution and we really do it from the heart, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I agree with you, my friend. And that's why I wanted to just say that, because like I said, every time I talk to you, you're sharing, you're giving compliments, you're just making people feel better. And you're one of those people, like, it's just good. It's like positive. You put off a positive energy, and I love that about you, man.
I appreciate that.
Here's the thing I want to talk about. You're a team leader at Keller Williams. Well, first off, tell our listeners, for people that don't know, what's a team leader? What do they do? What's their role? That's what you do. Tell our listeners.
So I heard this from John Maxwell. I was listening to one of his audiobooks, and it was in like the 5 levels of leadership. And he talked about the difference between leadership and management. And leadership is really where you inspire other people to come along in the journey. And management is usually like, hey, they're doing it out of fear they're going to lose their job. So first and foremost, I think if you want to have growth, you'll lead followers. If you want to multiply and do amazing things on this planet with your gifts and your abilities, then you're going to lead other leaders. So what a team leader, whether it be for a company or like you lead an amazing, the David I. Hill team, you're a team leader. And I think what you're supposed to do is cast out the vision of where you're going and then inspire other people and equip them and empower them to come along for the journey, and show them that by coming into your world and in your area, you're going to help them get better. And you're going to believe more in them than what they usually will believe in themselves. So a team leader, what my role is really to improve people's position from where they currently are to where they would choose to be. But most of them, they have to figure out that there's a gap there, right? Most people get caught in comfort or mediocrity. So my goal is really to just be candid with them and ask them a lot of questions and help them to identify where they currently are and then where they choose to be, and then show them the vehicle or the gap on how to bridge it.
And I love that you're saying this, and I lived in your world for quite a while, and I still do. Recently, and you know the story, I've been pulled back into my business, into more of back into the listing side, which is fine. You know, I'm making calls again, I'm prospecting. I actually went door knocking this morning because it was a mint out. So I'm willing to do that, Chris, because I know I have to do that in order to continue going forward where I'm going. But for years, I've called on other agents, and I've got more purposeful in the last couple months. You know, it's what you said. I mean, there are people that they're here, and they know they want to get here. They're not really sure how to get there, but there seems like there's some resistance, right? I mean, do you deal with that as well?
I do deal with that. And sometimes I've dealt with it in my own life so many times, just trying to figure it out, because I think it's like sometimes, and this is what somebody told me a long time ago, a great mentor of mine, Colombo de Salvatore. He said this, he goes, look, two things. He goes, the secret of success is not a secret, okay? And the reason he says is because anybody that's ever succeeded and failed at a high level has actually done something really creative, and now you're in this world too. Welcome to the world of writing books, and you know your book, The Sales Playbook, is probably a great example of your path and being around the people you were around. And so what you did is you had some experiences, you learned from other people that became your wisdom, you put it to paper, you actually published the book, somebody could go pick up the book and then implement that stuff in their life, and they could have what other people had. I loved your video post this morning. It said, I get to do what I do because I've done what I did. And you get to have the results of one or the other. So when somebody writes a book, Tony Robbins says this, he goes, everybody thinks information is power, right? Information's power. We've all heard that. Tony Robbins says information is potential power. So you only get to use it and have the things if you actually go out and implement. Like, I want to lose weight. Great. I can read about it. I can read Men's Fitness. I can read blogs about fitness. But until I actually go take action and implement the stuff I'm reading, I'm never going to get the results. And that's why you're getting the results. And it's so fascinating to hear you talk about, hey, look, I had to get back into my business. Look, because you're learning a lot. You never stop learning. Progress is about growth, and growth is living. And if you stop growing and having progress, you start dying.
You're right. It doesn't stop. It's, you know, I had no choice. I hired somebody a year or so ago, and I thought they were the right person, and they're great people, and I don't have anything negative to say about them, but you know, it just didn't work in the end. So I had to go back now into my business, and literally, like I said earlier, I was door knocking. I went, oh my gosh, it's 20 past 10. I got to get back in my car, fly home, because I've got to interview a rock star in 40 minutes. You know what I mean? So that's my life right now. But I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to show up and make it work, right? I mean, that's what we have to do as business owners. But when we're talking about, you know, the people that are stuck, like, I mean, what is it? Like, why is somebody so resistant to making that change that's ultimately going to help them?
There's a lot of things that resist us from change. And I heard this in a men's Bible study the other night from my pastor. I'm like, wow, this is so relatable to everything in my life. Because a lot of us, there's 4 things that can really stop us from any kind of progress in our life. 4 major things. One is that you're angry about something, right? Because if you're angry about something, typically you're not going to be in a good mood. You're not going to move forward. And it's probably going to move you in a backwards direction. The second thing that can hold you back or keep you from good change is bitterness. Like, have you ever been really bitter? Something happens in your life and you're just bitter about it. You got the chip on your shoulder. You can't move forward with clarity if that's in your life. The third thing is unforgiveness. We're all forgiven people. I don't know what anybody's faith is and whoever's on this, but we've all been forgiven for some stuff that we've done in our lives. And our job is to go, well, we've been forgiven, but I'm not going to forgive you. So if you go through your life and you're not forgiving of things or events that have happened that you're trying to dictate the story, then you can't move forward. The last one is the biggest one, and every motivational speaker talks about it, is fear. So there's this fear of unknown, there's fear of rejection, there's fear of even success. People are like, yesterday in your class that you held, there's some people like, man, if I get this business, I'm so worried that I'm not going to be able to handle it, so I'm not going to go get it. So I think that there's those 4 things. And then on top of it all, most of us, we just don't figure out really clear where we're going. You know, I told this story the other day. So I said, how long would it take you to get from where you were to my office? And they were like, maybe 35, 40 minutes. And I said, okay, it's midnight and the fog is so dense you can't see to the end of the hood of your car. and you have to get home because your kid's there and you got to be there. How long would it take you then? And they're like, I don't know, double, triple the time? Yeah. And isn't it stressful? Yeah. You're not looking at anything else. You're not enjoying the ride, everything, because we have this fog that's in our mind because we don't know where we want to go. Or we do, and we just don't know how to get there with the least amount of ease. So what people figure out is, how do I get really clear on where I want to go in my life? And then once you get clear on it, things start showing up and you can get there faster. So if the fog is down, there's no traffic, it's a bright sunny day, and you can just fly, man, you get to enjoy the ride. You even get to look around a little bit and enjoy the things happening, and you get there quicker. And I think that I've done that a lot in my life, is I've just not been really clear, because we all battle this thing, why? And I know you talked a lot about that in your class. And, you know, one of the greatest books I've ever read was really Simon Sinek's Start With Why. And he makes it so simple to understand. We all know what we do. We know how we do it. But most of us, and very few, know why we do it. And that's why I shared that little clip with you on Michael Jr., a comedian who just stopped midway in one of his comedy shows, and he just does break time. He asked a guy in the audience who started having a conversation, and basically the guy said, yeah, I'm a music teacher. He says, yeah, cut me a few bars of Amazing Grace. And the guy does a pretty good job singing Amazing Grace, where he starts, like, people are kind of clapping afterwards, like, he's pretty good. And then what Michael Jr. said to this guy in the audience was, now I want you to sing it like your brother just got out of jail, you got a broken back, and just show me some of that. And the guy instantly went into some kind of imagination, and he sang the Amazing Grace, and he had the entire audience on their feet. Everybody was up, and he inspired people in the room. And he came back after he was done. He said the first time he knew what he was doing, and the second time he knew why he was doing it. And I shared that with a group of people after reading that book, because somebody sent me that clip, and I'm like, wow. So knowing why you do something, you get to not only enjoy the ride and get more out of life, you get to inspire other people when you know why you do what you do. It's happened with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and all these great leaders, and Oprah Winfrey's, is they knew why they were doing what they did.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you brought that up. And by the way, the video that you sent me, I'm going to share your link on my show notes for anybody that's listening to this, so you can check it out on the blog.
It's awesome, man.
It's phenomenal.
It's awesome video.
And I love that you just sent that over to me this morning. You know, when we talk about the why, though, you're right. I think there's a lot of people get stuck there. They're not really sure. When we talk about it in class, a lot of people say, well, my why is to make $100,000. Well, is it really to make $100,000, or is it what you're going to actually do with the $100,000 or whatever it is? And the other thing, I just want to back up a little bit, because you talked about the 4 things that stop people from moving forward: anger, bitterness, fear, unforgiveness and fear. And it reminds me of an old quote I heard by Abe Lincoln. It says, do not heat your furnace, I'm butchering this, do not heat your furnace so hot that you singe yourself.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
You get that? I just love that. Do not heat your furnace so hot that you singe yourself. And I mean, how many of us do that? We carry this anger, this bitterness, this fear with us, or this just, you know, like, I'm out to get you, you're out to get me. And I just see that too much, man. Especially even a lot in the real estate industry too. And I hate to say that. That's a reality. So one thing that you do is, and the other thing I'm going to make comment on, then I want to talk about talent, because everything comes down to talent. That's the reality. And not just talent, but ultimately, Chris, building a bench, right? I mean, the reality is...
extraordinary talent is what it's all about.
It's extraordinary talent. We call them empire builders at Keller Williams. But also having a bench where, you know, I didn't have a bench. So when my guy leaves, all of a sudden, here I am. I have a job again. But before that, I want to make a comment, because you said something to me the other day, and this is just tells our listeners how authentic you are. Is you made a comment to me about I'm come down to teach, and you said, hey, I just want to let you know that, you know, a few years ago, people weren't really sure about you and this other agent. And I'll be honest with you, when I first heard it, I was a little offended by it. But then when I thought about it, I said, you know, that really helped me. And not only I took it after as a compliment, but it just showed how important that is.
I really believe that the only way we grow is if we're open to good kind of feedback. And I think maybe it was Diana Kokoska, the founder of MAPS Coaching. What she said is that the reason that we put out the review at the end, and hopefully people will just be truthful and honest, is so that we can go back and go, what can we improve on so we can deliver it better next time? And I think hearing about how you got up and delivered, and then the story of why, you rocked that room yesterday and you had people engaged and they were laughing. I think when you can let down your guard and you can have fun, right? Because it's all about having fun in life. If it's stressful and all these things, but you allow people to have fun. And when you're having fun, you can open up and people are susceptible to doing something called learning, right? And that's what you did. I mean, you did a phenomenal job, and our agents were talking about it for the rest of the evening.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And you guys, your agents brought it, which obviously always helps when you're teaching a class. When somebody gives you some honest feedback, we can either resist it and say, oh, that's not true, or we can say, you know what? Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's helpful. And it's not always some stuff we want to hear. Like I posted on Facebook yesterday, we're redesigning our logo we're doing a marketing campaign. I don't know, maybe 20, 25 people said, oh, great logo, nice logo, yeah, it looks good. But then 2 people actually private messaged me with some really, really good points about the logo, because, I thought the logo was okay, and that's why I posted it on Facebook, because I really wanted real feedback. And nothing against all the other guys that just said, okay, good, nice logo, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But 2 people took the time to send, here's some real feedback on that. And those are the 2 people that I really paid the most attention to. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it makes total sense. Well, here, I want to add this too, because I've learned this. Sometimes people got to be in the position where they want to hear something, right? I think what I've learned in making a lot of mistakes as a leader, oh man, I've got a book on them and I go back and I look at them. But one of the things is that there's some points where some person needs to make an improvement, but they're just not ready to hear it. But we sometimes want to throw it on them and go, hey man, I want to make you better, but they're not ready to get better, right? And I think asking for permission has been the one thing that I found that's been super helpful. So if I said something like, hey David, if I saw something that would be helpful to you in your business or your career or in your relationship, would you want me to tell you about it?
Yeah, of course.
And you're either going to say, of course, and then I'm going to then go one step further. I'm going to ask you, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super real clear and honest, and 1 kind of coming in at like baby style, where would you want me to deliver that? And they're like, give it to me as a 10. So you've asked for permission.
Let me stop. Hold on. Well, you know what? Let me stop. I'm going to stop you for 1 second, because it's funny how so many people say, give it to me as a 10, but they really don't want it as a 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you really have to break down on that, like really dig deep on that.
There's like 5 more steps, but the reality and the point is that people got to be ready for it. We want to just dump sometimes, and you really just, and I'm glad you said that, because you do have to go, well, a 10 would look, you got to say almost 10 would look like this, hypothetically. Oh, no, maybe I don't want a 10. Okay.
You are listening to One More Sale.
So let's switch gears a little bit. I do want to talk about attracting talent. Ultimately, that's what you do. You find these rock star agents that are doing ridiculous amounts of real estate, 25 million, 30 million, 50 million. How do you attract these people, and why are these people, beyond that, there's 2 questions. One is, how do you attract them? And then going back to what we talked about in the beginning of this episode is the gap. How do you get them from the person that's stuck at 25 million and they can't seem to break through 30 million to 50 million?
It's a great question. The first way you attract anybody is you have to become a magnet. It's not just like, I want to be attractive. Like I'm never going to be as good looking as David Hill, right? So, but
that's clear. But it's okay.
Attractive. Yeah, it's okay, right? Well,
Yeah.
Not everybody can be, but attractive in a way. Like I know at Keller Williams, we talk about this thing called the wall of value. I really look at that wall of value as a giant attractive it's like a super magnet. And the thing that people want to be around other people that are making things happen, and they want to jump on the fast train, right? So, you have to be attractive in a way that, number one, you're clear on your mission, you're very clear on your vision, you have great values, your beliefs are strong, and then your perspective or how we see ourselves, the reality is that other people want to be part of that, right? And then the other thing is when people are with you, you can lose talent if you're not attractive. We've all been faced with that. It's something called attrition and retention. If you're good at just bringing talent in, but you have no value, real substance value, and it's just surface stuff, you'll lose the people out the back door. So you have to have such a strong attraction that within your values or your strategies or what you believe in and how you treat other people, we call that at Keller Williams and proudly and fondly refer to that as what we call the Y4C2Ts. And it's things like win-win or no deal. It's things like integrity, and that means doing the right thing. And then treating your customers like they really truly come first. You have commitment in everything you're doing. You're communicating in a way that's like, hey, I want to seek first to understand. And then you treat people like a team. We have always heard it, together everyone achieves more. And then it's about having trust with people. John Maxwell says this, that there's three things that innately people ask of you without even sometimes saying it. When you come into contact with somebody and there's a relationship to be built, they're asking really three questions. Can this person help me? Do they like me? And can I trust them? And really, the can they help me and do they like me, they don't even really matter until they know they can trust you. And so trust is really in what you do or what I do. It's about being honest with people. There's no reason to build and found a relationship if you can't trust them. And then you're communicating in a way where it's like, hey, I can be heard and it's okay. And then finally, we believe and we value that it's success is like what Zig Ziglar, help enough other people succeed and you'll be successful. Help them get what they want, you get what you want. And that's what the founder of this great company, Gary Keller, did, is he created something where he could help more people get more out of life and have a world and an opportunity where they could grow in it, and not just grow in business. But after coming to Keller Williams in the last almost 3 years, I can tell you I'm a better leader, I'm a better father, I'm a better husband, I'm a better friend, because I've just immersed myself in wanting to learn as much as I can.
Amen, my friend. Amen. And I just want to make a comment too before you continue. You talked about attraction as being two parts, and I think we forget this sometimes. And I know I did in the past. I know 100% some of the mistakes I made were getting people in, but then when they're in, not being a good enough leader to really help that person succeed. You talked about attraction, like, okay, attracting them. Okay, I can attract them to get it to come. And then once they're there, you're attracting them to stay and attracting them to grow. And I also relate that to like listings. Like some of us are really, really good at prospecting. We'll get the seller to sign on a dotted line. And then as soon as they sign, they're like, okay, what's next? And they forget all about that seller. And then they offer a really poor level of service.
Yeah, I think that's something that's called, it actually starts with follow and ends with up. The first part of getting somebody excited about something, and we call that lead generation, or you're generating for business or generating to be in business with other people. Once you do that, there was a great book by Don Miguel Ruiz called The Four Agreements. And the four things in there that he talks about, the four agreements, was number one, being impeccable with your word. And that was just speaking with integrity. He's going to say only what you mean. It was about avoiding words to speak against yourself or gossip about others, because that does no good. The second thing was really don't take anything personally. This is a one that most of us struggle with, is that when somebody does something, we automatically take it personally. We go, it's because of what we did. It has nothing to do with us. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dreams. When you're immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering.
You nailed it.
The third thing he talks about in the book was not making assumptions, and that was just finding the courage to ask questions and express what you really want. I think a lot of us sometimes we just assume things, and it creates misunderstanding, it creates sadness, it creates drama, and with just that one agreement of not making assumptions, you can almost completely transform your life. And the last one he talks about in there was always do your best. I tell this to my 13-year-old, my boy, Rylan. I always, in wrestling the last couple of years, he's an emotional guy, and he's talented, but he'd come off because he lost and he was crying. And I'm like, my buddy, my dog, I said, listen, don't cry because you lost. Cry because maybe you didn't do your best. If you came off, and he had matches where he had the entire gymnasium in the finals, and everybody's on their feet, and emotions, and it's energy, and he loses, and he comes off crying. I'm like, dude, that was the best match you wrestled all year. I said, you got to be proud. Now what you need to do is what we do as adults, but we don't do it. is once you lose, the only way you can truly lose in life, because, Eric Thomas says you're either winning or you're losing. And I like to say that the only time you really lose in life is when you completely fail to take the opportunity to learn something, right? So when something goes amok in your life, you got to take out a piece of paper and you got to write down what happened and why you think it happened. And then you got to work your butt off to never do that again. So you're either winning or learning in life. There is no losing. I think that if you're always doing your best, it's going to change from moment to moment. And it's different when you're healthy as opposed to when you're sick. Under any circumstance, if you simply do your best, you're going to avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, regret. So you're just constantly looking to be the best version of you. And I think of a why, and I heard another TED Talk. It was probably one of the most phenomenal TED Talks I've ever heard, and it's only about 5 minutes long. And all your listeners should go watch that. And I'll send you the link today so you can post it. But it was Rick Elias, right? And Rick Elias, who's now a friend of mine on Facebook, I figured he'd be filled up. He was on that flight, the U.S. Airways flight with Sully, the crash on the Hudson. And he talked about how he got to take a look in the future, and he no longer wastes time on things that don't matter with people that matter in his life. And I stole this thing from him because it really internalized my why. And what I wanted to be is because he says, above all else, all I want to be in life is I want to be a good dad. And I started thinking about my 4 kids. And when I think about them, they're amazing little versions of people that can go change the world. And I don't know what they'll be, but I just want them to be the best. So I need to be the best father. And I need to do things like I need to be really slow to anger. I need to be more merciful. I need to be more loving and caring, like abounding in love. And I think that if I can be a good father, then my kids are going to benefit. If I can show love to my wife, then they're going to look at that and they're going to expect that in the relationship that they're going to be in. And so I think that Rick Elias video, it's 5 minutes, and it was, most TED Talks are less than 15, but that 5-minute one changed the course and direction of my being.
That's awesome. So we're going to get that link. We'll get that in our show notes. Something that you said, I'm just going to go back to a friend of mine the other day. We were talking about some challenges and some struggles and what other people say. And he said, one of the main reasons why Tom Brady is so successful is because he doesn't worry about what other people are saying.
Yeah.
And he just nailed it. So that said, Chris, do you have any, what's one book recommendation that everybody listening to this should read?
I really believe that Gary Keller came out with a book called The One Thing. And it was written not just for the real estate industry. It is a great book, and I know you're certified to teach this course. And, Keller Williams is one of the top training companies across all industries in the world, and, always the number one spot in the real estate world because that's what we do. And there is a course that was based off of The One Thing, and that's the surprising simple truth behind extraordinary results. People should get their hands on that book, and it really demystifies all these things.
I love that, Chris. So everybody get out there. I want you to grab a copy of The One Thing. And speaking of The One Thing, what is the one thing, Chris, that you want all of our listeners to take from this episode?
The one thing is that just be a blessing to other people, man. I think that if you can go out and every day just be the best version of you and constantly lift up those around you. I read from a book called The Great Prophet. It says, if you want to make more money in this lifetime, and it's all abundant, it's all available, all he said in there is you just have to add value to more people. So the one thing I would encourage people to do is go out, whether you're at the grocery store and somebody's having a bad day behind the cash register, try to lift them up. And I think that's what we're all put here to do, is to treat each other with respect. And if we all love more and we put that in the forefront, this world would be such a different place.
Love it, my friend. So everybody, by the way, you can go out and get yourself a copy of The One Thing. If you want an audio, you can get it for free at davidsfreebook.com just by going to Audible. So Chris, hey man, I really want to thank you for your time. And how do our listeners get in touch with you?
Very simple. My email is getchrisgrant@gmail.com. They can look me up on Facebook. I'm under, my page is public, and I'm open book, and that's just under Christopher Grant -connector. I had to tell people Connector was not really my hyphenated name. It was something I took from somebody that it was a speaker somewhere, and he said, that's just what I do, and that's what I do. I connect people from where they are to where they choose to be.
So I would say to everybody listening to this episode, guys, you really got to get out there and connect with Chris. He really is the ultimate connector. And what he's going to do is going to help you get from where you are to wherever you want to be. So Chris, hey man, I appreciate you and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, David. It's been an honor to be here with you.
Hey Masters, you guys know how important health and nutrition is to me. I just want to talk to you a little bit about products I use called Advocare. I've been using these products for about a year and a half now, mostly just for energy. They've got a really awesome drink. It's called Spark. If you want to check out anything, I would tell you, go check out the energy drink Spark. That's what I did for, like I said, almost a year and a half without even trying any of their other products. And then this past January, a bunch of us, January 4th, decided we were going to do the 24-day challenge, which is a 10-day cleanse and then 14 days of just really healthy eating, vitamins, meal replacement, just awesome 24 days just to kind of get yourself on track and get into some right habits. So Richie Ryan did it with us. Guys, he lost, today's February 5th. I think he's at 24 pounds lost since January 4th. Melissa at our office lost 6 pounds. Min at our office lost 5 pounds. Guys, I mean, listen, it's amazing. Regardless, if your goal is losing weight, my goal wasn't losing weight. I did the challenge just so I could experience it. And, I lost a few pounds, but now I put some weight back on because I started using some of the supplements and the protein powder and all the other stuff. So now I've gained about 3 pounds of muscle and just feel awesome. My energy's through the roof. So whether you're looking for energy or you're looking for just wellness, I mean, they've got some amazing green products that I love taking before I go to bed. Or if you're looking for performance, athletic products, we've got the athletic performance products. And then just active, if you're an active adult, maybe getting a little older in the age and you want to just keep everything working the right way and functioning. Listen, Gary Keller said it best. If you don't take care of your body, where are you gonna live? And I just love that. So, hey, I just ask you to check out Advocare's products. I'm a distributor, so I'd love to help you, talk to you about your nutrition and health goals. You go to livelongersmarter.com, livelongersmarter.com.
You are listening to One More Sale with your host, David I. Hill, author of the Sales Playbook. Get your copy at www.thesalesplaybook.net.